Hello Sumates, welcome to the Creative Room. If you are meeting me for the first time, my name is Olabi-Omotola Henrietta, and if you are new to this channel, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click on the red notification bell so that when videos are posted, you'll be notified. Like I said earlier, videos will be posted every Tuesday. And today, we are going to be learning how to draft half-scale bodice block. Half-scale bodice block. So let's get started. The tools we are going to be needing for our pattern drafting, they are here and they are as follows. I'll be showing them to you one after the other. We have our pattern makers. This is a pattern maker that is like a universal pattern maker. It has a straight part, it has a curvy part, the armhole curve, and this is the hip curve. You have also a separate armhole curve here. And if you don't have all this, please don't be discouraged. You can use your basic French curves, those ones we used while we were in secondary school. Now you have your pins, you have your masking tape, you have your fabric scissors, and this is a paper scissors. You have your eraser, you have your pencil, and you have, I'm going to be using a marker pen because I'm going to be teaching and I need to see it very clearly. So I'm making use of a marker pen. Then you have your tracing wheel. And of course, the most important thing, which is the tape. So let's get started. And then you need your pattern paper, sorry, Sumates. So here are the parameters we'll be working with. We have length 16 inches, back waist length 14 inches, shoulder 16 inches, bust 36, waist 29 inches, under bust 30 inches, there's under bust circumference, and 13 inches for shoulder to the under bust. Then bust span, which is the nipple to nipple, 8 inches, and the shoulder to the bust point length, 10 inches. That is shoulder to the nipple point. So we are going to start drafting. Now I drew a guideline of 1 inch at the both end of the paper. So now I'm going to be starting my measurements. Remember I said my length is 16 inches. So from this guideline is serving as my start point. And now before I proceed, there's something called CF, the center front. You have the center back, which is the CB. You have the SSF, which is the side seam front, and the SSB, that is the side seam back. So as we keep going in the training or in the drafting, you understand what this means. So now I'm going to be taking our length, which is 16 inches. So from here, I'm going to take 16 inches and I'll mark. Then I'll come to this side as well and take the same 16 inches and also mark. Then I can put a mark at the center as well if you feel your ruler might not be long enough to get to that point, just to be at the safer side. So I'll connect all points. There we go. So now the next thing we are going to be doing is taking the width measurement. Now how do you get your width? Your width is the biggest part of the parameters you are using. Like, we are drafting a half scale bodice, remember, and our half scale bodice is from the shoulder to the waist. And for me, my bust is bigger than my waist, so I'm going to be using my bust circumference measurements. For some people, their waist are bigger than their bust. So if your waist is bigger than your bust, you can use your waist circumference measurements. So for me, my bust is 36. You are going to be dividing that 36 by 2 plus 1 inch for ease. So 36 divided by 2 is 18 plus 1 inch, that is 19. So I'm going to be marking 19 on this line. And I'm also going to be marking 19 down here. So I can square it out, like so. Now, you can also mark 19 to the middle. This is all so we can get a good square or a correct measurement. extending this line to touch this. So now, having done this, you have to cross-check to be at the safer side. So I'm going to measure from here to here. I should have my 16. Yes, that's the length, 16. And for the width, 19 inches, 19 inches. So having done that, we are going to get the midpoint of what we have here. So the midpoint of 19 inches, how do you get this? To be, to just to save time, you could just fold your tape, and then I have 9.5. So I'm going to mark my 9.5 here, 9.5. I can also mark it to the center, 9.5, and 9.5. So you connect in a straight line. You connect like so. And after doing this, like I said earlier, I told you about CF. Now this straight part here is going to serve as my CB, because I'm using this part as my back and here as my front. And this part here is going to serve as my CF, which is my center front, and this is my center back. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to insert our shoulder measurement. Now my shoulder measurement is 16 inches, and you'll be dividing 16 inches by 2, that's 8 inches. So you mark, that's my 8 inches. Having done that, I will fix in my neck. Now remember, we are doing the basic bodice block. We are not doing styles yet. So the basic bodice block for the neck, it has a standard. For the back, it's 3 inches by 1 inch depth. When we start doing design, you can start having different necklines. So you have 3 inches width for your back neck, 3 inches width you mark, and then for the depth, 1 inch. So having done that, you connect with your curve. And that is it. Now, the next thing we are going to be doing is, you come to the point where you mark your shoulder divided by 2 here, that's 16 inches. You come down by 1 inch. I'm going to be dotting a 1 inch mark. Having done that, you connect from that point to the nape of the neck. That's for the shoulder slope, because we are not straight as human, we have a slope on our shoulder. Now that we have done that, the next thing we are going to be doing is to insert the chest measurement. Now, how do you get your chest measurement? You can simply divide your bust circumference by 6 and add 1.5. For this measurement, for this person, 8 inches works perfectly for her. So I'm going to be inserting 8 inches. Mark my 8 inches like so. And I'll come here as well. Mark my 8 inches. Let me also mark it here so I can connect 8 inches. So you connect like so. Now, this is my chest line. Let me label it so you understand. Now, having done this, the next thing you're going to do is you insert your shoulder measurement. That's the 16 divided by 2, which gave us 8. You insert it on this chest line as well, like so. After doing that, you now connect with a straight line. That is it. So now, after doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is, let me just get to this point at the front too. So for the front, you repeat the same thing. The shoulder divided by 2, which is 8 inches, I'll mark. After doing that, the width for the neck, for the front neck is 3 inches by 3 inches. Of course, the width should be the same with that of the back, while the depth will be 3 by 3. So 3 inches width and 3 inches depth, like so. So you can square out so that you can have a perfect drawing. Okay, this is what I have. So you connect this way. If you are not sure of drawing your neck without making a mistake or whatever, so you can draw a box as a guideline. So having done this, you insert your neck line in a curve. So that is for the front neck. Now the next thing we are going to be doing is I'm going to draw the shoulder slope. The front shoulder slope, I'm going to be using 1.5, like so. So I'll connect to the nape of the neck. So having done this, I'm going to come to this chest line here as well and mark my 8 inches, like so. Then I'll connect here too. So now the next thing we are going to be doing is to get the midpoint of this line running from the slope of the shoulder to the chest line. So I'm going to get the midpoint of this. Here is my midpoint. Then getting this, I'm going to start from the point. I have 3.5, so I'm going to get my midpoint here. So having done that, I'll connect the 2 points this way. So now that you have done that, at this particular point, for my back, I'm going to come in by ½ inch, and for my front, I'm going to come in by a 3/4 inch, that's 0.75. So having done that, I'll connect from the beginning of this point to the ½ inch point, like so. Then I'll repeat the same thing for here, for the front too, like so. I hope you're following. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to connect my armhole in a curve, just like this. I'm going to connect this. Then I'll repeat the same thing for the back, like this. So having done this, we'll now proceed. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to measure, already this is the length of our blouse, which is 16 inches. But like I said, we need the back waist length. My back waist length here is 14 inches, which is shorter than the front measurement. So I'm going to be marking 14 inches on the back. You'll be wondering, why is it shorter than? Of course, it has to be like that if you want to eliminate back puffs. So you measure, there's a place where we have a slope at our back. So that is the point where we have our back waist length. It's called the back length. So I'm going to mark 14 inches. Then I'll connect. Like so. All right. So the next thing we're going to be doing is to insert our darts. But before then, for the front, I'm going to measure our shoulder to bust point measurement. That's shoulder to nipple point. My shoulder to nipple point here is 10 inches. So I'm going to mark my 10 inches here. Remember, just for the front, we only have our bust or our breast at the front. So I'm going to connect. And this is the bust line. So having done that, the next thing we are going to be doing is to insert our darts. Now, how do you get your darts? We already have our bust span measurement. Here I have 8 inches. So you divide your bust span measurement by 2, which will give us 4 inches. So for here, I'm going to mark my 4 inches here. Then I'll come down by 1 inch. By 1 inch. Then I'll also mark it on the waist line. Then I'll connect. Then I'll repeat the same thing also for the back. 4 inches. I'll come down by 1 inch. Mark my 4 inches also on the waistline. Then I'll connect. So after doing this, then I'll come to each side, to the both sides of this line. I'll mark half inch, half inch, half inch. Then I'll repeat the same thing here too. Half inch, half inch. Then I would connect. I'll connect like so. I hope you are following. It's very simple if you follow these steps. So good. Now that we have done that, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to get the back, to eliminate totally the back puff. I'm going to shape in the back by half inch. I'm going to take it in at the waistline by half inch. So I'm going to come here on the waistline. I'll mark half inch in. After doing that, I'm going to connect. Now there's no rule as to where you connect this. You can connect to the chest line or you connect straight to the neck. So it depends on how you want it, but I am going to be connecting to the chest line. So from here, I'll do my connection back to this place. So this is what we have. Now the next thing we are going to be doing is to mark our bust circumference divided by 4 and our waist circumference divided by 4. Now, my bust circumference divided by 4, 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches. So I'm going to mark. I'll repeat the same thing here, 9 inches. Then for my waist, I have 29. 29 inches divided by 4, I have 7.25 plus 1 inch. Remember, the dart you took here, you have to return it back, plus 1 inch. Sorry, I'm measuring from here. 7.25 plus 1 inch. So you mark. Okay, sorry, I just found out there was a mistake here now. So please, this dart intake here is wrong. So our dart is supposed to be taken from here. That is a very costly mistake. So here is my 4 inches and here is my 4 inches. You come down by 1 inch. So I'm just changing the dart point. I measured from the side seam, which is wrong. You take your dart from the center, whether center, back or front. So, and then I'm going to take half inch on both sides, then I connect. So I just crossed the old one, so you don't make such mistakes, please. Yeah, so this is what we have. So this is wrong. Now we are going to be taking our measurements. That's waist divided by 4, 7.25 plus 1. So I have this here. And then for this, the back as well, I'm going to be taking the measurements to waist divided by 4, 7.25 plus 1, 8.25, then plus half inch. The half inch that we took here, you have to return it back so that you won't have excess tightening around your waist. So now that we have done that, you connect. You connect. Then you repeat the same thing for this point too. You connect. So having done this, now somebody will be wondering, why is the front longer than the back, or what can you do to make them equal? Of course, it's going to be equal. So we are going to be inserting our bust dart. Now, how do you achieve that? Now, this difference here is 2 inches. So you just come to the bust line here and take down, you mark 2 inches down. Then from the bust line here, you come in by, from this point, you come in by 1 inch, and then if you like, you can get the midpoint of this 2 inches here, that's 1 inch, 1 inch. Then you draw from here, you connect to this point, and you connect to this point. By the time I cut out this pattern and we fold in this dart, you will discover that the length of your blouse or the length of your basic block will be equal. Even if you are doing styles or designs, that's the same way it's going to be. So now I want to call your attention to something. In order to close a dart, you have to open a point. Is either you are opening the waist dart or you open it at the shoulder. So I'm going to create a line on my shoulder so that it will enable me to close this dart. So how do you create this line? You don't just create it, you simply get the midpoint of your shoulder. Here is the midpoint of my shoulder. You mark it, then you connect straight to the point of that dart, like this. Connect. So having done that, the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to cut out my pattern. Okay, so when cutting out my pattern, I'm not going to be cutting out this excess here, because by the time we fold our dart, it will not be equal. So, or let me just do it right now so you understand what I'm talking about. So here, you come out by ½ inch, like so, ½ inch. Then from that ½ inch, you blend back to this point. Then you blend back to this point, like this. Yes. So now I'm going to be cutting around my block. Okay, so guys, now we are done cutting. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is, we want to close this burst dart. So what do? I'm going to slash open the shoulder line that I just created. Then I'll pick from this point and I'll lap it. You can see now that it's opened. So you cannot close a dart without, you cannot not close a dart without opening another part. So here you need your masking tape. You hold it down. I'll be holding it down at the back. So here it is. Then you through and blend. I'm going to be throwing and blending my pattern like so. So this is what I have. Now with this, you can see our front and back is now equal. It's no longer, sorry, it's not holding well. Let me hold it well so you see. Yes, our front and back is now equal after opening the shoulder line. Now there is no rule that says you have to open the shoulder before you can close the bust dart. You can equally open the waist dart to close the shoulder, to close the bust dart. Now let's practicalize that. Now, if I close this bust dart again, look at this. Like I've closed this bust dart. It's impossible for me to close this. So I can come and open my waist dart. Once I open my waist dart, it will enable me to close my bust dart. Can you see that? So you need to open a part to close another. I will be sharing a picture. I'll be attaching a picture of a dart manipulation chart. The different parts where we can have our darts and how you can, and the names of those darts. So you see the different parts you can fix in your darts. You can open, you can close, and all that. So now we have come to the end of the drafting for the half scale bodice. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you are new here. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And you can also ask your questions. We are going to be having a live session at the end of every month on our Facebook group. So if you have not joined the group yet, write up questions, cut and sew. Hurry now and join. So we are going to be having live session where we treat your questions, challenges you may encounter when drafting your patterns. Next week, we are going to be drafting the full scale bodice in a very, very simple way or simple form. Till then, keep practicing, soulmates. I love you. See you. Bye.